Gewoon de groep in zijn algemeenheid. Ja.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Well, I'm very much in favor of genomics. I think it's a very good tool, but I don't like how we're using it. We're using genomics as the only tool, and it's not the only tool. I'm very much in favor of long-lived cow families, and we don't get bulls out of those kind of cow families because the genomics moves so fast. Always the youngest ones have the highest genomics, and that's what we get bulls out of. And I think in the short time it will take some longevity out of the breed because we're using young bulls out of young heifers all the time instead of bulls out of proven older cows that have made a lot of milk and stayed in the herd for 6 or 7 or 8 lactations. So I guess I'd say both good and bad about the genomic thing. I like the fact that genomic can sort out a group of heifers and tell us the best ones in there. But I'd like to see them using bulls out of longer-lived cow families with deeper pedigrees. And, the genomics is all based on male information, and the base was derived from using the best bulls we've had in the last 2 or 3 decades, and it's nothing to do with the females. And unfortunately, I understand why they do that, because the bull information is so much more accurate because they have many offspring. But that doesn't mean that the cow don't contribute. She contributes half too. They need to be looking more at getting high genomic animals from the top cow families. And that would be the thing I would like to see change. See them using older cows as bull mothers instead of these virgin heifers. And heifers that, haven't even been bred, they're just 10 months old. We're getting bulls out of them.
And we're using a bull that doesn't have a milking daughter, and his sire doesn't have a milking daughter.
And we have so many good cows in the breed that have 45,000 pounds of milk and many records, and why don't we use those cows?
It's unbelievable.
Things that I don't like.
Exactly.
And then I've heard a lot of stories too about these, heifers that they're flushing at 10 months old, and they get the high numbers out of them, and then they calve and look horrible, and then you never hear from them again. They just kind of disappear.
Yes. Yeah. So for how long do you expect this will continue until we get another change again?
Well,
what do you expect?
The index thing done the same thing.
Yes.
It started in the 60s and 70s, and they were using only index. And by about 2000, that had changed. We started using good cow families and putting some common sense in it. And they made all these new indexes for reproduction and longevity and mobility, which was good. Before that, they only did the type of production and the production. And there's more to a good cow than just production. I always say we don't keep cows to make milk, we keep cows to make money. And there's a difference. And those cows that last a long time will make you much more money per day of life than those cows that have 1 or 2 lactations. But we haven't got the breed changed yet. I had worked with the Holting Association for about the last 4 years to try and have them do some research on being able to put a genomic base on long-lived cows that have had at least 5 lactations and have 150,000 pounds of milk at least. And they're working on that. They've done some research. They devoted $100,000 to that research. And it's not completed yet, but they're working on it. That to me would be another tool that would help us get some different kind of cows, and everybody can do what he wants to. If you want to use the high genomic, fine, but I'd like to use the long-lived cows.
And you want it to be available so that people, farmers, can make their decision. And now it's only one thing.
We need to have variation in the breed.
Exactly.
If we go for one thing, and that's happened so quick that all of our genomic bulls are all by 3 or 4 sires, it's difficult to find an outcross bull. And the unfortunate thing with genomics is it was based on those best bulls in the last 2 or 3 decades, and so it can't find anything outside that. The only thing it can find is bulls related to those bulls. And that's an unfortunate thing, but I think genomics is a work in progress, and it will get better as we go along. They'll begin to learn.
But it's also the decisions the sire analysts will make with the tool. And right now, I told it before, in Holland, I asked one of the sire analysts, how many sons did you sample from a totally outcross Italian bull Fibrex, which did well in Holland? And he said, well, we tested on DNA maybe 15, almost 20 sons. And I said, how many did you put in an eye? I knew the answer, but none were high enough. And I said, well, you knew up front. Why do you test them? You hope to get the high one, but you knew that he won't recognize them. So what I think you should do is, if you do the research on those 15 or 20, you'll take the 5 highest ones and you're going to put them in an II. Otherwise, you will never get the variation
You'll
again.
never get any variation.
Yeah.
That's good thinking. I
But
like that idea.
somehow, they will never do it because the only thing sire analysts will be looked at is each year we need some progress in GTPI or TPI. So that's how they will be evaluated. If they make the progress.
The unfortunate thing is they measure progress by the genomic number, not by the performance of the animals.
Yes.
If they would measure the performance of what they're doing and get some of this outcross blood, they would find some new families. There's certainly lots of new families out there. We just got to find them.
Yes,
And,
that's true.
It's difficult to change. You can see why the AI people do it, because they make money with the high genomics. That's what people want.
Yeah. But it's short-term money.
Yeah, the commercial man, but it's not good for breed progress. It's gonna cause us some problems.
Yes.
Just like index. When they started index, they selected for early life production and good udders, and we got it. That's exactly. But then they didn't breed.
No.
You know, and you don't make much money with a good udder 2-year-old that don't breed back.
Yeah.
So,
I hear a little bit, if you select bulls, it's not just the pedigree or the cow family. Are you also having criteria on certain traits that you say we want to see this or that on a bull?
well, we try to look at the bulls that are out of cow families that have had quite a bit of longevity. We
Okay.
like to see at least 4 or 5 records on the dam, 2 or 3 dams behind them.
Yeah.
And you know, Mendel told us like begets like, and if you use those kind of cows, you'll get those kind of cows.
Yes. Yeah.
And two, we also usually try and keep track of the components, and we don't use very many bulls that are negative for components.
Exactly. Yeah. Is your milk going to a cheese factory or?
No, it goes
Cheese
to
plant?
well, they do make some cheese with the excess milk, but it's basically a fluid milk.
Okay.
But we do get paid for our components.
So you get
We
that
don't
extra
get-
if you get them higher.
Right.
We
Yeah.
don't get paid for pounds of milk. We just get paid for pounds of protein and fat and solid milk.
All right. Yeah. So what do you average on the herd
Um,
at the moment?
Right now we're just over 4% fat and about 3.1 or 3.2 protein.
Okay.
So,
With how much milk
um,
in average?
on average about 75 pounds per cow.
Yeah.
Which we'd like to be a little higher, but
So that's about 25,000 pounds. Yeah. But that's quite a high fat percentage. Yeah. Okay.